Okay, so you pick up a saw, right? Maybe every day, maybe just once in a while, or maybe just around them on a job site.
Right.
But here's a thought to really get you focused.
Hmm.
Over 30,000 people get hurt every year just from table saws in the U.S. alone.
Yeah.
And we're not talking little cuts either. Most of these are serious lacerations, amputations.
It's definitely something to be aware of. Makes you realize, doesn't it, that we can't be casual with these tools.
Exactly. And that's where this deep dive comes in. We're not here to bore you with a lecture on safety rules.
Right.
We want to give you that solid knowledge, that edge, so you can use these powerful tools safely.
It's about understanding why the precautions exist and how they can really prevent injuries.
We've been digging deep into the regs, the actual guidelines.
Yeah.
OSHA, of course. There's Section 29 CFR 1926 Subpart I. Pretty specific stuff.
Absolutely. It's the core of it all.
And we've also pulled in some really targeted information from Utah's UOSH program.
Some great insights there.
So we're going to focus on the saws you're most likely to use, encounter on the job.
Right?
The portable circular saws.
Yeah, those handheld workhorses. People call them Skil saws, but there's a lot of brands out there.
There's the table saws, the heavy hitters, in workshops and on big sites.
And of course, the miter saws.
Yeah, the chop saws. Love that action.
It's satisfying, isn't it?
So our mission here is to give you that practical understanding so you use these saws right safely.
And to see the logic behind the safety features, every one of them.
And the big picture here, to prevent those injuries,
Mm.
to make sure everyone goes home in one piece.
Every single day.
All right, let's break it down.
Sounds good.
What do the rule books, the OSHA and UAS guidelines, what do they say?
Let's start with those portable circular saws, the ones you see everywhere.
The go-to saw. Okay.
The core of it is guarding.
Guarding.
OSHA is really clear. You have to have guards that cover the blade.
Both above and below, right?
Above and below, top and bottom.
My shield.
You got it. The upper guard's permanent, always there on top of the blade.
And the lower one?
The lower guard retracts when you're cutting.
Right, I've seen that.
But, and this is key, it has to automatically snap back.
Snap back.
As soon as you lift the saw, that lower guard covers the blade again. Non-negotiable.
So like jamming that open is a big no-no.
Huge violation. And dangerous. Those guards are there to protect you.
From that spinning blade.
Exactly. Think of it as your first line of defense.
It makes sense.
Then you've got the dead man switch.
Dead man switch. Kind of ominous name, right?
Maybe, but it's there for a reason. It means the power cuts off the instant you let go of the trigger.
Like instantly.
No taping it down, no tricks. Fixed triggers, the ones you lock on, not allowed on these saws.
So if you lose grip, power's off.
It's there to protect you.
Okay, so those portable circular saws, guards, dead man switch.
Got it.
Now the table saws, they look a bit more complicated.
They do. They have more parts, more going on around the blade.
What are we looking at, regulation-wise?
First up, you've got to have that protective hood over the blade.
Above the table, right?
Above the table, it has to adjust too. Adjust to how thick the material is, what you're cutting, but it stays in contact with it.
So it's always a barrier.
Containment, keeping stuff from flying around and also protecting you.
And those fin-like things right behind the blade.
The riving knife or splitter you're talking about?
Yeah, those. What's their deal?
Those are essential for rip cuts.
Rip cuts?
Cutting with the grain of the wood, like you'd rip a piece of paper long ways.
Got it.
So that riving knife or splitter sits right behind the blade, and it prevents the wood from pinching.
Pinching the blade.
Yeah, as you push it through, because if it pinches, you can get kickback.
Kickback, that's when the wood.
Gets thrown back at you hard. And there's a rule, too, about the gap behind the blade where that splitter sits.
How much space can there be?
1/2 inch maximum.
It's tiny.
It is, but it's got to be precise for it to work right.
Prevent that pinch.
Exactly. And then there's the anti-kickback stuff working together with that splitter.
More protection.
Yeah, like little teeth, they're called pawls, or spring-loaded fingers. They dig into the wood if it starts to kick back.
To stop it.
Yeah. And OSHA actually gets these requirements from ANSI.
ANSI.
American National Standards Institute. They set standards for all kinds of industries.
So it's not just OSHA making this stuff up.
It's best practices consensus from experts.
That makes sense. So table saws, you got your guards, your splitters or riving knives, and these anti-kickback pawls.
Layers of protection.
Really seems like it. Now miter saws, the up and down motion, what's essential there?
Full guarding, again.
Full guarding.
Upper blade guard, gotta have it. And a lower guard, too.
So top and bottom are covered as much as possible.
As much as possible. That lower guard moves out of the way as you bring the blade down to cut.
Okay.
But it stays in contact with the material the whole time.
And then, once you've made the cut,
You let go, and the whole saw head automatically springs back up
to a safe position.
to a safe position. That automatic return is key,
I can see how that'd prevent accidents.
especially after the cut when you might be moving stuff around.
So with those miter saws, you always want to check those guards, make sure they're working right.
Absolutely. Upper and lower guards, smooth movement, intact. And that return spring, make sure it's doing its job.
If any of that's off, don't use the saw.
Don't use it. Report it. Get it fixed.
Okay, so we've covered portable saws, table saws, miter saws. Out on the job site,
The workhorses.
what about those stationary saws? You know, the ones in a workshop.
Different environment, slightly different rules.
Okay.
The big one here is a lockable disconnect switch.
Lockable.
You lock it so the saw can't be turned on accidentally.
Everyone's doing what?
Maintenance, changing the blade, anything like that.
So like a padlock on the power switch.
Exactly like that. Simple but effective, prevents a lot of injuries.
And a big one for all saws, but especially those stationary ones.
Always unplug it before doing any work on it.
Unplug it.
No matter what, changing the blade, adjusting something, even cleaning.
Unplug.
Unplug. You don't want any accidental startups.
Okay, that's the rules.
That's the framework.
But we got to protect ourselves too, right?
Absolutely.
PPE.
Personal protective equipment, your last line of defense, and it's not optional.
So what are we talking about?
Safety glasses or a full face shield. You got to protect your eyes.
From flying debris, sawdust?
All of that. And hearing protection. Those saws are loud.
How loud are we talking?
Most of them, when they're running, they're over 85 decibels.
That's enough to...
Damage your hearing if you're around it long enough.
And of course, good footwear.
Safety footwear, good grip, steel toe, a must on any site.
But it's not just about what you wear, is it?
No, it's about what you don't wear, too.
Like, what do you mean?
Loose clothing, no dangling jewelry, long hair, tie it back.
Why is that?
Anything loose can get caught in those moving parts. Serious injury.
So keep it snug, keep it safe.
Exactly. And then there's training.
Can't just hand someone a saw and say good luck.
Absolutely not. Employers have a responsibility to train anyone using these tools.
What kind of training?
Thorough training in a language the worker understands.
So not just like, here's the on switch.
No, not at all. You got to know the specific hazards.
But that saw.
How do you use the guards, the safety devices, what to do in an emergency.
So it's not just knowing how it works. It's understanding the dangers.
And how to avoid them.
Right. Okay, so we know the rules. We're geared up. Now let's talk about safe practices.
The everyday habits that can make all the difference.
Like before you even turn the saw on, what should you be doing?
Inspection. Every single time.
Inspect the saw.
Look it over. Power cord. Any damage. Cuts. Fraying.
Right.
The blade itself. Sharp. Clean. Installed right.
Yeah, makes sense.
But the most important thing is those guards.
The guards.
Are they all there? Are they moving freely?
So like test them out.
Test them out. That lower guard on a circular saw, it should retract smoothly and snap back without sticking.
Or check the on-off switch too. Make sure it's working right, not loose or jammed.
Right.
And here's the big rule. If any guard's missing or not working right or you see any damage,
What do you do?
don't use the saw. Tag it out. Report it.
Makes sense. Now, the work area itself.
Work area setup is just as important.
Okay.
Stable support for your material. That's number one.
So not holding it in the air?
Never. Use sawhorses, clamps, a proper cutting table,
Solid base?
solid base, and keep the area clear.
And clear what?
Clutter.
Good
Cables,
line.
piles of wood, people walking through.
Right. Got
You need space to move safely. And this one should be obvious, but
No working on a ladder.
no ladders, no unstable platforms, solid ground under your feet.
And the power cord
Always think about the power cord. Make sure it's out of the way of the blade.
could get cut.
Could get cut, and then you've got bigger
And
problems.
if it's damp or outside,
GFCI outlet. Ground fault circuit interrupter.
protects you from shock. Exactly. So, inspection, work area setup, 2 things to do before you even start cutting.
Solid prep work.
Uh-huh.
Now let's get into how to actually use these saws safely.
The techniques that can save you.
Starting with those circular saws, those handheld ones.
Okay.
What do you got to remember while you're making the cut?
2 hands on the saw.
2 hands. Firm grip.
Firm grip, always. That's how you control it.
Got it.
Don't rush the cut.
What do you mean?
Let the blade come up to full speed before you start pushing it in.
Okay.
It'll give you a cleaner cut, and it reduces the chance of kickback.
Right.
And keep the base of the saw flat against the material.
So don't tilt it.
Don't tilt it. You'll lose control.
And don't force it.
Don't force it. Let the blade do the work.
Right. If you're pushing too hard.
Blade's probably dull or you're trying to go too fast.
Makes sense.
And once you're done, let the blade stop completely before you set the saw down.
Okay.
And never, ever rest a running saw on your body.
Not on your leg, not anywhere.
Nowhere. It's just asking for trouble.
2 hams.
Yeah.
Let the blade do the work. Safe placement. Got it. Now, table saws. A bit more to think about there, right?
Definitely. More power, more things to be aware of.
What's crucial?
Training.
Training.
Only use a table saw if you've been trained specifically on how to use it safely.
No exceptions.
No exceptions. And before you cut, set that blade height right.
How high should it be?
Just a bit above the material you're cutting. You don't want a lot of blade exposed.
Increases the risk of kickback.
Exactly. And always use the fence or the miter gauge to guide your cuts.
So no freehanding it.
Never freehand. It's too dangerous. You lose control.
Got it.
And for those narrow cuts,
What's the rule?
push stick every time.
Push stick.
It keeps your hands well away from the blade, at least 4 inches.
Okay, so the push stick's like an extension of your hand.
That's a good way to think about it.
Right. Push stick for narrow cuts.
Every single time.
What else?
Make sure that splitter and the anti-kickback things, they're in place and adjusted right every cut.
But don't just assume they're good to go.
Chuck them every time.
And where do you stand?
Off to the side, not directly behind the blade.
If there's kickback.
You're out of the line of fire.
And, like with the circular saw, wait for the blade to stop before you reach in.
Always wait for the blade to stop.
So, table saws, training, proper setup, push stick, safe position. Lot to keep in mind.
It's a powerful tool. You gotta respect it.
Okay, last one. Miter saws. What are the keys there?
Secure the saw, first thing.
Secure it how?
Make sure it's firmly mounted to a stable surface. Doesn't move around.
Right.
Then, secure your material. Clamp it. Hold it firmly.
So it doesn't move during the cut.
Exactly. And keep that non-trigger hand clear.
Out of the way of the blade.
Way out of the way.
How far away?
There should be a clear, safe zone. No question where your hand can go, where it can't.
Okay.
And never cross your hands while you're operating the saw.
Why is that?
Puts your hand right in line with the blade if something goes wrong.
Not good.
Not good at all. So lower the blade smoothly, let it do the cutting,
Right.
and then, just like the others, wait for the blade to stop spinning before you lift it.
Every single time.
Every time.
So with all these saws, control is key. Control of the saw, control of the material. Keep yourself out of the way.
You got it.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What are the things you absolutely should never do with a saw?
The big never list. Important stuff.
Let's hear it.
Never use a saw with a guard missing or disabled. That's rule number 1.
No excuses.
No excuses. And don't wear gloves while you're operating the saw.
But what about when you're handling the wood?
That's the exception. When you're just moving the material, gloves are
But
fine.
when you're actually cutting?
No gloves. They can reduce your dexterity and they can get caught in the blade.
And pull your hand in.
That's the nightmare scenario. So no gloves while cutting.
Okay, what else?
Never work distracted,
Distracted.
tired, rushed.
These tools need your full attention.
They demand it. They're powerful. They're unforgiving.
So no multitasking with a saw in your hand.
Nope. Focus on the task at hand. And finally, don't try to force the saw to do something it's not designed to do.
Right. Use the right tool for the job.
Exactly. If it feels wrong, if it seems off, stop.
Stop and reassess.
Don't just push through it. That's when accidents happen.
Those nevers are super clear. Now, I think it's really important to hear about real-life accidents.
Yeah, it brings it home.
We've got some case studies here that show why these rules are so important.
They're not just suggestions.
Not at all.
These are lessons learned the hard way.
Let's start with the removed guard Utah case.
This one is a tough one, but it shows how crucial those guards are. A carpenter in Utah, he took the lower guard off his circular saw.
Why did he do that?
He said it was getting in the way of his work.
Oh, man.
And then while he was cutting, the saw slipped.
Yeah.
Bad cut. Thigh. Severed an artery.
Oh, wow.
He almost died.
And all because he took the guard off.
It's a stark reminder. Never disable those safety devices.
They're there for a reason.
They're there to protect you from exactly that kind of accident.
That's scary. What's another example?
We have one called moving blade incident. This guy finished a cut with his circular saw.
Okay.
But he didn't wait for the blade to stop spinning.
Oh, no.
He bent down, and the blade caught him on the leg.
Bad cut.
Bad cut.
That blade keeps spinning for a while.
It does. It has momentum.
So the lesson is?
Wait for the blade to stop completely before you move anything near it. Your hands, your body, anything.
Makes sense.
Makes sense, but people forget, or they rush it.
What about a table saw incident?
We've got one. Amputation on table saw. Really sad case.
Right. What happened?
The saw didn't have the upper guard, and he wasn't using a push stick for a narrow cut.
Both of those things we just talked about.
Exactly. So the wood kicks back violently, no guard to protect him, hands too close.
What happened to his hands?
3 fingers amputated.
That's awful.
It really is. And it shows why those guards and those push sticks are so important.
They're not just there to be annoying.
They're there to save your hands.
Okay, last one. The miter saw.
Yeah, this one's called Fatal Chop Saw Kickback. A guy was cutting a piece of pipe.
With a miter saw.
Yeah, a chop saw. Kickback happened. The saw swung up, hit him in the neck.
Oh, geez.
Killed him.
And the takeaway.
Firm grip on the saw, firm grip on the material, stable stance. And always be ready for kickback, even with something like a pipe, which you might not think would kick back.
Man, these stores are rough.
They are. But they show the reality.
It's easy to get complacent.
It is. But these accidents, they remind us why the rules are there.
So we've covered a lot today. The OSHA regulations, the UOSH program,
PPE, training.
safe work practices for each saw, those nevers.
And those real-world cases.
It's a lot to take in. But it all comes back to one thing.
What's that?
A saw is only as safe as the person using it.
That's the truth. Your awareness, following the rules, respecting the tool, that's what keeps you safe.
So to sum it all up, using a saw safely comes down to a few things.
Okay.
Knowing those OSHA and UOSH guidelines, making those safe habits like inspection and setup part of your routine.
Like second nature.
And learning from those accidents, from those mistakes that other people have made.
So we don't repeat them.
And the good news is, if you do all that, you massively reduce the risks.
The whole point is to make sure everyone goes home safe at the end of the day.
To their families.
That's what it's all about.
So our message to you is simple. Stay alert.
Speak up if something's not right.
And look out for each other.
Because we're all in this together.
And as you go back to work, think about this.
Yeah.
When you use a saw next time, will you do things differently?
Will you be even safer?
It's something to think about.
It is.
Stay safe out there.
We'll see you next time.